J.
And then you pause it. Okay, so I will call this regular meeting of the Public Site and Building Commission to order at 7:03. We do have a flag over here, so if you'll join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. And our clock is working tonight.
Look at that.
Okay, so going along with our agenda items, public input. Is there anybody on who's public and wants to do input? No, okay, no public input. And next would be correspondence. We don't have any correspondence except everything that came in. That's part of the different project reports. And the next on the agenda was election of officers. So, so I'll give you a just brief update. We hope to have a full board. John Menti is not here tonight. I'll just let you know that in person is Dave Horvath and Evan Feniger from STV, Dave Horvath, Public Site, and Kathy, Secretary. Everybody else is on. John Menti wasn't able to make it tonight. He's traveling for work, and we're still minus one person. Josh Adams was appointed by the Board of Selectmen in February to fill the vacancy created by the resignation of Dino Gualtieri. However, Josh never got sworn in. And then I've been contacting him, and I finally heard back from him that he is unable to continue as a member, and sorry, he expressed his regrets that he's not able to continue, which is unfortunate because he would have been a great person to have. However, that's not going to happen. He cited personal and professional reasons. And I let Dan Carter know, and Dan is doing what he has to do to reach out to the RTC to see if they can come up with a name to put forward, and hopefully get somebody appointed soon, because we've been kind of minus somebody for a while, and it's been several meetings in a row where we've been almost not having a quorum, which is why I bug you all about finding out whether you're coming or not, because I don't want to drag everybody into a meeting if we don't have a quorum. So we do tonight, which is great, and thanks for everybody for getting back to me. I kind of think we should wait on the election, but I don't know what anybody else thinks.
I agree with you, Nancy. I think we should wait a little bit.
All right, at least until John is here, but want to wait a little longer, we can. I will have to also let Lisa know, because she's been asking. Okay, approval of meeting minutes. I will make a motion that we approve the regular meeting minutes from March 22nd, 2023.
Second.
Got a second from Dave Horvath. Does anybody have anything that they noticed in the minutes that needs to get updated, changed, whatever? No? Good job, Kat.
As always.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Get the star.
And does anybody have to abstain? You were here.
Yep.
Everybody was here. No, was Perna here last time? Yes, he was.
No, you were absent.
I was?
Yeah, that's what it says in my thing. After Monaro.
Oh, my bad. Sorry.
All right, so abstain the people that have to abstain.
Sorry about
I was here, even though I wasn't supposed to. So, okay, good, minutes done. So I'm going to make a suggestion that, as we did last time, we do the training range last. We have a few updates and a few things to deal with the other projects. So we will start with the municipal center renovation. I'll give a brief update. And I don't know if Mark's on there, one of the phone numbers, or.
Yeah, Nancy, Mark Schweitzer. Yeah, I'm on.
All right. So we're close, yet there's a few things left. I didn't get to go down there and check the side lights were supposed to be installed today, and I'll check on my way out. The glass arrived and they were supposed to get done, yet Jay wasn't able to get here. Jay from BMP wasn't able to get here and check. So I'll check that. And most of the other stuff is complete. There is and it's partly been brought up by the building inspector, but there's some issues with the toilet partitions and some spacing, et cetera. And they're working on remedying that because they have to, and not on our dime. So, yeah, and there's another issue, which if you want to go see it, but so it's basically, I think when we had to move both of the wet walls forward because we didn't want to drill through the concrete girder underneath them, that kind of rearranged a little bit. They made sure they had enough space for especially handicapped accessibility, all that, but I think the way it translated with the partitions being fabricated didn't work. So they're working on that. We have, that's pretty much it, but Mark Schweitzer and I talked about doing some sort of a punch list, which we will try to do next week, or later this week or next week. Mark, do you remember what they said?
Next week.
Next week, okay, yep.
Yeah, next week. Just, I mean, it's, they've got substantial completion. They've got their completion list. They should, I mean, the building official has done his CO walk, but that doesn't do anything with the punch list as far as, you know, if there's a ding in the door from construction or, you know, paint missing somewhere.
Right.
So I'd like to get a group together with town people, basically kind of what we had at the kickoff meeting, and just go room by room and check it all out and give them a punch list.
Yep. And we'll make sure to include Rachel McGrath, Director of Parks and Recreation, and Kathy and somebody else from the commission. So we will get that scheduled. So Mark, is that something we do, or do we want to have BMP here also, or do we want to make our own list and then
I mean, we can let Jay know that we're doing it, but I would arrange it around your schedules, and we can tell them, you know,
okay.
we're going out there Monday morning or Tuesday afternoon, and
Great.
just if you're free, fine, but
Okay. All right, you and I will figure something out with a few other people. Yep. And kind of put it out there for anybody else, as long as it's not more than 4 of us, so, or four or more of us. So 4 meaning Public Site and Building Commission members, then we'd have to call it a meeting.
correct.
So
You can't have a quorum.
right, which we don't need, unless we want to make it that way. I don't think we need to. So in general, because we're not in a place to have the final application for payment from BMP, I was gonna put a budget together. I can do a rough one, and I think we're still well under budget, especially since we didn't run into any more abatement that needed to be done. That was our biggest fear, was that in opening everything up, even though we did bang holes in the walls when we did the initial testing, we were pretty confident that we wouldn't run into anything, but you never know in an old building. So, so far we look pretty good. And then Mark, do you have anything else?
No, that is about it. I mean, we didn't have any change orders, so nothing came off the contingency. Right. And during construction, so we're under budget at the start, and so we should be under budget now.
Yeah, the only 3 vendors, so to speak, should be BNP, Colliers, and Hygienics, because we did have one more budget done. We had to test the stairwell that got taken out, the steel stairwell, to see how much lead paint was on it and how it needed to be disposed of, which lucky for us, we didn't have to do it by weight, which is great. That's pretty much it. And I think we're maybe up around 420, something like that. So, and we do have an invoice, which I sent around to everyone. I will make a motion that we approve the Colliers invoice number 000834380 for services rendered through the end of March 2023 in the amount of $2,490.80.
Second.
Got a second from whoever it was, Roy or Dave Olson. Dave Olson. Any questions on this? I did send it around for everyone to look at. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Done. So that should be it for the renovation of the GP room lobby. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Yep, take care.
Thank you.
We'll get together next week to look at everything and come up with a punch list. So next, Rockville and Johnson schools. I'm going to give a brief update on a couple of things, and then we have to look at the whole level spreader. So with the getting all the paperwork together to be submitted to the Office of School Construction, as I reported a couple of meetings ago, we found an overpayment to Rizzo in the amount of $175,000. And finance reported that they received the check back from Rizzo. That's a good thing. And the Office of School Construction did receive the paperwork that it was filed. However, we haven't heard anything back. I believe Dr. Carver's on vacation, so she gave me a couple of things before she left. So we haven't heard anything specific, like it's time to do the audit or whatever. So we're still waiting on that, which is kind of, we'd like that to get going as soon as possible, because that's where we get our final payment from. I think that's it for that part, unless, I don't know who the other person is on, but if they're going to say something, they will.
That's Vin.
Huh?
That's Vin.
Oh, that's
He's
Vin.
listening.
That's his phone, so it's 860 is Vin.
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, we don't know who Sydney is. All right. Okay, so the other part that we're still working on is the remediation of the stormwater management area and what we need to do to have that lower level beyond the level spreader fixed up so we don't continue with the erosion that had started. And the point where we're at right now is James DeMeo, town engineer, who's on with us, is he's gotten a couple of quotes to get the work done. And James, if you want to give us an update on that. Are you going to share? Do you need to be co-host?
Yeah, Kathy, if you can give me permission.
Done. Got lots of co-hosts tonight.
Okay. Okay, so as previously discussed, I ended up getting 2 quotes back. TD and Sons and Sunburst Landscaping were the 2 that got back quotes. The quote that I have in front of you is from TD and Sons. This is the original one that they sent me. I'll kind of go over everything that happened. So they're at $133,155. So STV and myself kind of went through, formulated some questions, and I have some of the answers for you. But then to give you an idea of where everything landed with Sunburst, they submitted 2 separate proposals. One was for $73,165, and the second one, which was just for the fence work, was $9,800. So their total is $82,965. So they are cheaper than TD and Sons by a healthy margin right now. We did come up with some questions. And so, for instance, TD and actually both contractors, they're good with, they both estimate about 2 weeks for construction. Right now, neither of them have issues starting on June 14th. But as you can see here, TD and Son, needs to know ASAP. Pretty much they were just clarifying some questions that we had, nothing overly unforeseen or crazy. I will say that Sunburst was coming up or had a slightly different approach than TD and Sons for the fencing. So here's a picture from Sunburst. The original idea from TD and Sons was that they were going to hammer out this little bit of rock that's right behind this fence and install a gate right here. So now this gate would allow them to access the back in the future. And not only that, but allow them to use this area as a staging area for themselves during construction, which is a lot nicer than what was originally, what I was originally planning, which is where they were going to be using out this emergency access road as their staging area. So they'll be able to take it and put it all behind the fence, which is preferred. Sunburst was planning on doing a little bit different strategy, just due to the fact that it's not as easy for them to handle the rock. So what they actually wanted to do was basically take down this section of fence right here where this arrow is pointing to, and rerun it to this corner and put a gate in on that corner. I don't necessarily have a problem with this. What that'll allow them to do is anytime we needed to access behind here in the future, all you'd have to do is go through this gate because this fence is no longer there. But in order to mow the detention basin, you'd have to open up this gate and then the second gate. 6 to 1, half dozen. I don't necessarily have a problem with either, but the fact that Sunburst is right now about $50,000 cheaper, I also don't mind them going in this direction. So what I would like to know from the commission is, are there any major questions, any additional information you would want? Do you not like any of the approaches? And I will add one other thing. Both contractors, both priced out for, the original design was for two 24-inch pipes. They are having a hard time finding that. So I spoke to both of them, and both of them are pricing it out for a 30-inch, which is essentially the same size pipe that comes out of the existing detention basin anyway. So it'll have enough flow capacity. So they're just installing one 30-inch instead of the two pipes. And both of them seem to think that that was actually a cheaper option anyway. So I'm good with it as long as it's cheaper. It really didn't make too much of a difference to me if it's a one pipe or two pipe. The objective was to do this as cheaply as possible. So I was okay with that.
So they both seem to be calling out aluminum pipe. Is that because
Yep.
they can't get plastic?
They can't get plastic at all. I really wanted, I would have preferred plastic, but literally they cannot get it. So.
Okay.
Do we see any restrictions with having Sunburst set their equipment on the access road or off to the side of the access road for emergency services during
Yeah.
the 2-week period?
No, so if Sunburst does what they want to do with the gate anyway, they'll actually be able to use back here staging as well.
Okay.
So yeah, so one of the first things that they're going to end up having to do is pull down this section of fence back here, which short term should not be a problem during construction anyway, because we're going to reroute all of the public away from this section of the trail anyway. So there shouldn't be anyone back there in order to like come up and into the detention basin.
But
So-
if they're peeling the fence back, are they going to move it over to the other corner
Yes.
now, or is that going to be later?
It's part of their project. So
I understand that, but is it going to be done, like when they peel the fence back, will they then attach it to the other corner right away? And then that fence is going to have to be, the gate is going to have to do something, because you're saying you're going to put up construction fencing, et cetera. People are going to go back. They're going to walk back there. They're going to. So you got to do something to secure the gate.
this gate would remain.
Yes, right.
Yeah. So it would be people
Section
coming
of
up
fence.
from the trail that would be able to access it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I
Yeah, so this whole along this emergency access way, all that's gonna remain. They're not gonna touch any.
Right, because you can open the gate now. Anybody could go and open that gate and walk in there if they wanted to.
Yeah, if they wanted to.
Okay,
All right.
I didn't realize that.
So you sent me a second breakdown from TD, and then the price was less.
Yes, and so that happened due to some confusion, is my opinion. Where was it? Had it on my computer. I apologize.
It's a sort of spreadsheety looking thing without the lines.
Yep. So
Sorry.
it's okay. I don't know where it went on me.
It's in the email that you sent at
Yep.
Mark. Well, it was today, sometime earlier today. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it. I just clicked on something. Not in a nice way. Okay.
11:42.
Yep, that's what I got.
There we go. Okay. So what ended up happening was, based upon my question, that they got confused and they pulled the plants out. And that's the difference. That's not what we wanted them to do. What they did was, in the original number, they reversed the quantity and the rate in their proposal. So we wanted them to flip flop.
2,100 plants at $1,000 a piece.
Correct. Yeah. Yes.
What kind of plants are they putting in?
Exactly.
Okay, so that 90,000 is not the price. It's still the one.
It's still
133.
Yeah, it's still going to be this 133. And literally, this is the only difference. I went through it. All the numbers stayed the same. We just pulled these down. Yeah.
That's really where my two concerns really still lie, is the huge deltas that we have between these two contractors. On the 30-inch corrugated pipe, I understand that Johnson is including all the fittings and couplings within their $38,000 number,
Yeah,
but it's still more than double Sunburst number.
Yeah. So the problem comes into the way that they are showing or portraying their numbers. So let me put these side to side. I know that's going to kind of be small for you guys, but I'll try to zoom in. Okay. The whole reason why there's a big difference is how they are portraying their numbers. So, for instance, this is, okay, so for them to buy, so TD and Sons is on this side. For them to buy and install the 30-inch pipe, they're saying it's $38,500. Now, what Sunburst is doing, they have the pipe broken out with the fittings for all of these. So 11,000. So they have it broken out, and then the installation of it is within this 41.5. So in order to get them to, portray it the same, I would have to require them to, break up this number so that then we can, see the difference. Which I can do if this board feels that they would prefer to see that.
As long as you have confidence that they have included everything and that the bids are truly equal, I don't think that's necessary.
Yeah.
But it's a level of confidence, making sure that you have a level of confidence that these really are equal.
And that was the intent of our follow-up questions, which I can make sure reaches every board member. Unfortunately, I was getting them very slowly. So I got Sunburst on, I think, Monday or Tuesday, and then I got TD this morning. So we didn't have really enough time to get it out to everybody, but we can share all the questions and answers with everybody so everybody can see them.
Hey, James, I'm totally comfortable with Sunburst. Pete had spent a lot of time last fall going through this, so I think he knows the project pretty intimately as far as, what's going to happen. I wouldn't be at all concerned about Sunburst not, having a comparable product or knowing what the project was. I'd probably be more concerned from the TD side in that, this is really his first look at this per se. So I personally don't have a problem at all. Sunburst did quite a bit of work out on the landscaping, the re-landscaping of the schools. And I think everyone was very pleased with his work. So just a general statement I could make with them. So I'd be and I'm comfortable with both of them. So
I think so. What James was getting into was that since he was getting all this information over the past couple of days and then some of it this morning, it just didn't go out in enough time for us to be able to review it ourselves. And then we can't really make a decision tonight because it also wasn't able to be posted as everything's supposed to be posted. It's kind of a pain.
okay, yeah.
We have to do that. So we have time to, I don't want to take too much time to kind of scratch our heads because we need to get on their schedules as soon as we can. But again, we can't make that decision tonight. But if there are items or issues that you think that James or Evan need to know about so that they can, get the numbers finalized so we can deal with them, bring that up tonight.
Yeah, I'm comfortable.
So I have another couple of questions, James. So with the Sunburst's idea of the fence and leaving the gate where it is so you have access to both areas, will they have to take any of that rock out to get
No.
et cetera, or the rock stays?
The rock is going to stay. So that's the different approach right now. So pretty much every other aspect of this project was really honed in. I gave them a lot of instruction on the way I want them to do it and how to bid it. This is the one aspect that I didn't give them, like I let them kind of come up with their own thing. TD is a bigger contractor. They have the means capability of handling that rock very easily, which is why the owner there recommended that, okay, I'll just come hammer that rock and all we have to do for fence work is add a gate and he would be done. Whereas Sunburst, I'm getting the feeling that they would prefer not to. It might be more difficult for them to handle that rock. So they're coming up with an alternative that works very well for them as a contractor.
Right.
And I don't necessarily have an issue with the different design philosophies. I can, if the board would like, I can make sure that both of them are doing the same thing. But either way.
Yeah.
Well,
Sunburst had come up with that idea way back when we looked at having to have some access down below, not having to install a bunch of gates, but moving the fence around and not having to install extra. It still requires moving fencing. But if the extra amount from TD is about hammering out the rock and putting a new gate in, that's, I don't know how we compare apples to apples in that point. And I think you're right about TD having larger equipment, et cetera, than Sunburst. Having the smaller equipment, I think, is nice because they can get back down in there without really large equipment and not create too much of a impact when they start having to dig and et cetera.
To give you an idea of just the fence work, Sunburst is at that $9,800.
Right.
For TD to do the same thing, or to hammer out the rock is $4,000, and then they had $4,500 for the gate.
Yeah. Okay.
So they're at $8,500 versus $9,800, which completely makes sense to me because Sunburst is doing significantly more fence work and relocation. They're relocating some fence and adding a gate, where TD is just adding a gate.
So, and then mute everybody, just mute tables. So, and the plantings, I know that when we walked out there with inland wetlands, they were calling for some plantings, and it's, I guess, shade material that, because nothing's gonna grow down there, even if you hydro seeded with grass.
Yep.
So the plantings are part of the plan, is that true?
Yes, yep, and both of them put numbers for the plantings. So,
Yep. Does anybody else have any questions on all this from what you've seen? You have anything, Evan? No?
No, I'm just assuming, based on your explanation of the pipe, that the planting is the same, that the plant material down below is, in the Sunburst quote, is material costs, and then up above is the labor costs.
Yeah,
correct, yep.
so it sounds like they were answering questions, yeah.
This big number is all of their labor costs. So for instance, supply and install the 1,000 live stake plantings at the edge of the level spreader, and then they have their
Right.
material.
It's the supply in the top that throws me off.
Yeah, because it's
Yeah.
like, you think would be in there, but it's, they've separated out the materials.
Yeah.
And the labor's all in the top number, got it. All right, so James is gonna send this around to everybody for review. If there are any other questions, please let James or Evan or me know, or if you send it to the whole group, then ask the question of the whole group. And we'll get this settled out as soon as we can. Do you think we can wait till our next meeting, 2 weeks, or are they kind of chomping at the bit?
I will. TD's pushing hard, and they're a little bigger. Sunburst, I'm not exactly sure how booked they are, but I will give them a call in the morning. I mean, that's to verify, and I do want him to clarify one additional thing for me that I just noticed. So I have to call Sunburst anyway.
It's displayed.
Okay.
It's not like talking about it and not seeing it.
Right.
But all the commission members have to submit it.
Yeah. Well, so how do people, are there questions that still need to be answered in people's minds? I mean, or do
You
we
can say
feel?
contingent upon?
Huh?
You can say contingent upon.
I know we have, but I'm not sure if we should.
Well, I'd be a little hesitant because right now I do have my one question that I want clarified.
Okay.
Just noticed how much lower Sunburst plants were than what TD was originally proposing in terms of number for the material. So that just caught my eye. I must have missed a decimal place when I looked at it before. So that their number could change. So I'd be very hesitant on you voting to approve a contractor with the incorrect number.
Right. Yep. Okay.
Nancy, can I comment?
Yeah. Go ahead, Bob.
I just want to make sure, that both of these contractors get the correct information about what is expected, because both of these contractors do a lot of work for the town and the schools. So,
Yes.
I mean, I would not like to piss one off because of a technicality. So let's just make sure that they both have the same instructions.
Yeah, they did. What I printed out the design plans. I gave them a little write-up, the exact same write-up. I gave them literally all the exact same information. And if one brought up something, I made sure that I relayed that to the other one.
Good.
So right now they're both working under the same thing, which is why both of them are speccing out that 30-inch aluminum pipe, because they both had issues, or one of them brought it up first. So then I just related to the second one. And I will say, I did not meet Sunburst or Pete from Sunburst at the site. However, I did meet TD and Sons and walk them through it. But all of my phone conversations with Pete from Sunburst were all the same information. So.
Yeah, that's typical of how you would have to do, even if you put an RFP out and there were questions, you'd have to make sure that any one question that was asked by one person, the answers had to go to all the people who were submitting bids. So good that you're doing that, because like Bob says, you don't want to kind of favor one over the other because of the way they answered questions or whatever. So thanks, Bob. Anything else, Bob, do you think, or? You're good? Okay. All right, so James is gonna finish getting everything together so we can deal with this as soon as possible. Okay, all right, I think that's it on schools. So we can move, we don't have any invoices, because they came in too late, sorry. We're gonna do the HVAC project first, because I just have a quick update on that, and then we'll jump into the training range. For the HVAC at the high school, the first rounds of grants were released. Dr. Carver sent around an article, and I don't know if I sent it to all of you, but I can forward it. There was 56 million granted to a number of schools, including, I think, the closest here to this school is Ridgefield. Others were further away. I couldn't figure out if there was a rhyme or reason. They just put a list on and how much and what for. So there's another, if it was 150 million that was total allocated to be released, there's another 94 million to be released. So we still have a chance. Again, I don't know how they're weighing things, et cetera. There was an article, the governor made an announcement, had a list of schools. Congratulations, Mr. Perna. He got a bunch. So I don't know when they're gonna do, the article did not have any time frame of when the next bunch is gonna be released. And so we're in the waiting pattern. I know the other part, the first part is still gonna get done this summer, which is not part of what we have to be involved with. That next part, we're still waiting to hear. And then Bob, I don't know if you know anything else that you probably don't.
Well, we have ERU number 2 going down.
Yes.
Okay, and CAFA just this morning submitted the submittals, and he sent them to us to review. We have a meeting with them next week when everyone's back, but it looks pretty good. What CAFA had for the ERU 2 unit was about 2 inches too big. I guess Train now builds them a little bit heavier. So he's got some concerns, but no showstoppers. Oh, I'm sorry, not Train. McQuay.
Okay.
Okay.
That part wasn't assigned to us, and so that's, you're handling that kind of, with some input from a few people who have helped out, which is a good thing, but the commission.
Yeah, no, I thought the agreement was that we would at least review the details and give you progress updates and reports.
Yeah.
I thought that, I have no problem with that. Whatever you guys want.
Well, yeah, some people here have given some input and helped out with
Yes.
that. Just wasn't officially assigned to us, so it's not something that we have to approve invoices for or any of that, but appreciate the update, because it looks like you're gonna get done what you need to get done during the time frame that you need to do it.
Correct.
So that's
correct.
Good. And I think that's it on that. Once we hear, I'll remember to send that article along so people can look at it if they want to. Once we hear anything else, we'll let you know, because once there is money granted, then we're gonna have to get involved with getting going on that, et cetera. We hope prices hold. Once if they wait any longer, it's gonna be a little crazy, so, yeah, we'll have to see.
I do have one question.
Sure.
The one unit that they approved, Bob, is just to get the sign swings going?
Correct. It's the 1-for-1 exchange. The current unit there is going to get pulled out, and then a new unit will go in.
So has any consideration been given to the rest of the project?
Not, you mean with that contractor or?
Yeah, overall. So that was the project, that was one unit so that you can get the science classrooms going, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which
That's
was
correct.
a top priority. But then there was another phase of the project that you were going to put, and I don't have the spec sheet in front of me, but roughly 45 cassette units and put a VRF system in at the high school.
Yeah, I'm not sure, John, I'm not sure.
Okay,
I've heard scuttlebutt about it, but I can't really talk intelligent about it.
okay. So Nancy, will we be involved in this eventually? Because I thought that the
So-
stipulation to the grant was
Yes.
that it had to be
So,
overseen by the
Right.
commission. That's part of the,
yeah, ERU2 is not us, but the section that's being done by the grant is us.
yeah,
So whatever the process has to be as far as awarding contracts, et cetera, we'll have to get involved with that. Once the grant is awarded, we'll have to wait to see the grant awarded, and we may have to revisit figures at that point because,
we're gonna be revisiting design because to put a VRF system in, and that's what I got as the scope, is the most awful approach that you could do in a school. The life expectancy of those things is less than 10 years. So I don't know who's responsible for that, if we're gonna eventually be responsible for that. I want it to be heard today and recorded that the VRF is not a good application for that high school. So,
check and see on the design if there was some issues of space, et cetera, that was a reason that they put that in. I don't really know.
Yeah.
But we'll have to look at it.
John, just, what were they spec'ing for the VRF? I'm sorry, I didn't get to see the info.
the brand,
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't have the documents. I didn't think we were talking about it tonight.
Okay.
I attended that one meeting with the drawings. And I printed just, it was very short notice. I printed what I thought was important that we all met in the conference room at the Board of Ed. And I expressed my concerns that the VRF approach is not a good approach at all. And that there's other districts that are having problems with them. And I gave them the name to call the superintendents of those districts to verify, to back up my opinion.
Yeah, and that, John, that's what I'm talking about. I didn't hear any feedback from that question you asked.
Right. So,
And there might be electronic copy of plans that
Okay.
we could get and send to you if you want to.
That'd be great, yeah, because I had put in the VRF system in a building I had prior, and you lose a compressor and everything goes.
yep. None of the parts are interchangeable.
Yeah, so we'll have to somehow figure out how do we look at that. If we still haven't gotten the grant yet, can we make some changes before that's done?
Yeah, I'm a little concerned. And I want to, as a taxpayer, more than a committee member, that we're not even looking at anything. And what's going to happen when the grant gets approved? Are we going to just be handed a project and say, hey, here, this is what we're going to put in? I mean, we've had this commission for a long time.
Right,
If this is potentially coming across our desk, so to
Right.
speak, we should have all this information already.
yeah, so the
That's the
plan,
way I feel. I mean, you can't, if you're talking, say a month from now, the grant gets approved, now what are you gonna do?
yeah, because I think the plans, and Bob, I don't know if you know that if the complete plans, or whether it was just a report that was done by Kohler Ronan, did they complete plans, or are their plans still waiting to be done?
Well, Kohler Ronan has been running lead on this the whole way through. Maybe they should be asked to come talk to the committee. Since the committee's going to get this, if the grant is,
Absolutely.
maybe they should come and invite, and then have them explain what the future plans or the details, and have a chance for guys like John and Dave to ask questions.
Right, or are the plans complete yet? Is there room for changing them
Yeah.
up, or, is the report complete plans, or is the report suggestions? I think
Oh,
we,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm not sure what was paid for already.
right,
I'm gonna go back to what I said originally. It's over 2 months that we met up at the boardroom, at the
Right.
Board of Ed,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
If this potentially is a project that's gonna come across to our committee, we should already have the plans to be reviewing. That's the last I'll say it.
no, okay, no, I get it, I get it. Oh, we'll have to check into that. Okay. But thanks for bringing that up, John. You're right, you know, if they assign it, it should be ready for us to jump into, and if it isn't, then we should be working towards that. Okay, training range. You're up.
Do I have ability to share?
Yeah, you're still co-host.
Okay.
So Evan's gonna be taking us through wherever we are right now. There's a number of things that were brought up at the last meeting and the meeting before that that needed to be clarified, updated, et cetera. So those are things that we need to get through. That's not us.
No. So, first thing is that JHA did send back their drawings. They very clearly highlighted where the revisions were made. So those were sent out earlier this week. I don't know if anybody's had a chance to look at them, if they have any additional comments or any concerns. There was one that I saw that regarded the access control, which I had highlighted on that page. It is, so we have adding access control into the ready room, which is what we always add. And then we were asking to add a second access control into the actual firing range. And I believe that they added a note that I gotta find here. Security draw or on the look, IT drawings. Sorry, I forgot to bring my mouse. I'm not very good with the trackpad.
It doesn't always work.
Yeah. So their changes here seem to be incomplete. Which I don't believe reflects what we had originally, or what we had discussed with, or that Officer Durkin sent out after our meeting, where he said, yes, we're going to continue to have access controls and outside, and then also add them into the actuals of the firing range.
So you don't need them inside, you just need them on the exterior.
Just on the exterior.
Yes, so. So does it sound like they can put a keypad there outside the door?
Yes,
Because I believe he said that the door into the control room and the door into the range. And Bob, if you're there and can confirm, we need a keypad on the outside to get inside. And then the others can be a lock. Is that true?
Yes, not necessary to have access control once you're in the building. Just the exterior door.
Okay,
all right, so as long as this is correct, I thought that they had captured everything else correctly as well. So we could let Mark know that those changes were correct. And then we just have to wait, unfortunately, for Action Target to get us their drawings. I've spoken to them every single day, multiple times, and they promised 5 p.m. close of business every single day, and they have not delivered.
so the biggest thing I think with Action Target was, and I think some of the stuff that Roy brought up at the last meeting, was verification as to when they say mechanical contractor will do ...
Correct.
Who's mechanical? Are they gonna do it, or do we have to have a mechanical? So that's the biggest thing that we're waiting. right?
Exactly. Verbally on the phone, they have said to me, we're 95% sure that it's our mechanical contractor.
That we
Let
bring
us-
with us, or,
Right.
yeah,
Let us verify.
okay.
And then they don't get back to me until I chase them down.
And it's more on the, makeup air unit, not on their equipment, right?
Correct.
All right, well, okay.
So what does that mean? Is Evan, does that mean that they're gonna get back to you on this? Because I still have the same concerns, and, you
Yes,
know, we just don't seem to be getting anywhere here.
That is the difficulty with them. They're very good with their equipment. They have another subcontractor that's doing these mechanical drawings for them, and they seem to not be able to extract the information from their own subcontractor.
right. I think it's not holding up the manufacturing, the unit, the
No, the unit's
unit's-
released.
Yeah.
Released.
Yeah,
It's just when it actually gets on site.
who's responsible for doing what, yeah. And that needs to be specified
Yeah.
in Jukunsky Humes, in both Action Target and Jukunsky Humes drawing, so that when they go to Downs to go out to bid, people are knowing what they're bidding on,
Correct.
not sitting around going, well, who's supposed to hook this up? Yeah,
And that also ties into the warranty, et cetera, 1 year and the 5 year. And I'm still assuming it's going to be from startup, not from shipping.
So
So-
unfortunately,
it's from shipping.
it's from shipping. They will not alter the language on that change order.
Who won't? Action or Aon?
Action
Yeah.
Target through Aon.
I've never run into that with Aon ever.
That's
I've never-
ludicrous.
I've never
That's-
heard of it.
They're trying to pull the wool over our eyes. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I've
That's
absolutely
just
never heard of
absolutely
it.
ridiculous.
Agreed.
I've never run into it in my career either.
Well, that's why I think there's still a problem here, Evan. I think either they're hanging something away from us here, because, you know, we keep going back to this 5 years, and, you know, this warranty that they're having here is just written by their own people. This gives myself no comfort at all when they talk about parts only, and then the first sentence in, they talk about regarding the 5-year parts and labor warranty. So it's not even written correctly. So,
Right.
you know, there's something, there's not a connect going on here. Because if we can't get to a comfort level to know who's going to do what, you know, this isn't going to work.
So let's ask this. This is talking about the 5-year parts only warranty. If we didn't do the 5-year only parts only warranty,
Right. Am I assuming that, Nancy, you're exactly correct. My take is that, okay, then let's go with our 1 year, which will be normal and customary from startup. That's industry standard, always is.
and does what we approved for the makeup air unit say from startup? I don't remember.
I'll
But it sounds like we're doing something contrary to what is normally done. And that's why I'm very concerned that we're not connected here.
Yet, John Perna it was the one that came up with having this be a part of it. And John, and I know you said that, Roy, we were all saying it, it's unusual to have that from shipping rather than from startup. Are they?
Yeah, because I've taken delivery of a piece of equipment, and when I got it there, it was out of Freon.
Right.
And
Well,
they
I mean,
couldn't
we
even
don't-
start the thing.
Yeah,
we don't
This
even know-
is,
yeah.
this is fundamentally wrong.
We
It's
don't
not
know
asking
when
for
to-
anything special.
No, it's from commissioning date. When you finish the commissioning,
Right,
they put it into service. That's the date that
yeah,
it starts. Once it's fully commissioned and signed off on by the client.
Right. And during construction, obviously, we talked about this before, you have, if the thing's running, you've got your contractor, construction manager, whoever,
Who's managing
doing,
it.
making sure they got,
Mhm.
putting new filters in or doing whatever they have to
Just like
do
we
to
do with
make
the
sure.
schools.
Yeah, yep.
Just like we do with the schools.
Yes. So, John Perna, is it this amount for 5-year parts warranty? Is it possible that we would not use it so much, or would we use that amount? Would we use
no,
more?
you'd be foolish not to take the parts warranty. You really would. The range gets used minimally.
Mhm.
You know how fast, it's like.
See,
you'd be
one of the-
crazy
hey,
not
John,
to.
John, I agree with you 100%. One of the problems that I have with this 5-year, where they talk about parts only, it seems like they're putting two of them together. They're putting the 5-year parts warranty that they're charging us for, which is acceptable, but they're also going back into the 1-year warranty here, and they're bringing that into that same exact order. And you know what? The 1 year is normal and customary. A 1 year from startup. That's just
Right.
the way it is. So,
Right.
To my way of thinking, that either we should have legal look at this or whatever it might be, but for sure, these items are really two separate items. The 5-year is the 5-year, and the parts. That's all we're talking about. But the way
Right.
this is written, for some reason, and I don't know why. I don't know whether Action's not telling us the whole story or whether they haven't talked to the AAON people. I absolutely don't know where the disconnect is, but I think it's raising a lot of discomfort on our side.
So the
Right.
thing I recommend is that at our next meeting, we could ask Randy, who's the Aon rep for Connecticut, because he's gonna honor the parts
Okay.
warranty.
Yep.
And get him on the Zoom call for our next meeting.
That's perfect, because then we can
Yeah.
figure out what the
And
logistics.
this way, nothing gets lost in translation.
Correct, John.
Yeah.
100%.
Yep, and let him tell us that, what his typical, I mean, he sells equipment all over the state.
Right.
So, but I can tell you every piece of equipment from a manufacturer, I get a letter after startup, which is after factory startup, I get a letter from the manufacturer saying it was started up at this date.
Right.
Here's the startup date, and you got 5 years from now. We buy
Correct.
everything we buy with a 5-year warranty.
But the startup, I mean, it should be from a year from the startup date, because you
Correct.
get a year, and then it should be
And
5 years after that.
So
I
it's a
mean, you look
6-year.
at it like,
No, it's
5 years total.
You
5-year.
get 1 year with it, and then you're getting a 4-year
Correct.
additional for a 5-year warranty. You're not getting 6 years.
I tried. Well, it's the
There you
same
go.
thing as, they're putting the roofs on the schools, and we get the warranty from the time that they came and inspected after it was installed, not from the time they dumped the stuff.
Right,
Right.
right. This is industry standard. We're not asking for anything special.
The reality is we don't know that we have a viable system there until it's turned up and given to us.
Right,
That's the only way you can do this.
yeah.
So,
So,
John Perna, if we get the local guy from Aon, is he gonna have any impact on discussing
Well,
this.
he is gonna have an impact because he's gonna honor the warranty. They're not gonna fly somebody out of Utah or wherever Action Target got it from.
I agree. I just don't know if he'll have impact on Action Target to try to get the language correct.
No, he represents the piece of equipment we're buying from him. He doesn't care about Action Target.
Right.
He's worried about his credibility. He's the Aon dealer. That's the
Right.
guy we want on the Zoom call on our next meeting. STV has all his contact information. Line him up for the next call.
But if
I think
Action
that-
Target's language is still not saying what we want it to say,
I realize that, but if you get Aon on the next call that we're on
Right.
as a committee, and then you say to him, the guy that's gonna honor the warranty says he does it on factory startup.
Right.
Case closed.
okay?
They want to play hardball, we'll show them how we play hardball.
No, and I think this will shake down kind of the whole project on this. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't even know. I mean, at this point, I don't even know if anyone's ever talked to our local rep as far as, who's going to service what.
Will, what John, it seems like you're saying is we'd cut Action Target out of this and we'd have a change order not from Action Target, but a separate.
No,
No.
no, I say we get the Aon rep on the call on our next meeting. If we got to call a special meeting, let's do that. I did one group session on my own, and I brought in the Aon dealer from Connecticut and clarified a bunch of stuff, because originally the Action Targets told us we couldn't use the Aon unit. We can only use Daikin.
Yes,
Well, we straightened that obstacle out real quick.
right.
It's like we got to do the same thing.
Well, because they had a bunch of us were on, and they had the Aon guy from Utah, and you got your Aon guy from here.
Yes.
Both verified a bunch of things that we needed to have.
Not rocket science.
But Action Target is also saying that if we need to do any kind of warranty thing on the unit, we call Action Target.
No, they changed that language in this one.
Okay,
They
good,
changed
because
it.
that was, I can't see it.
Yeah.
So here's another layer behind all this. When this unit gets shipped, right, it's gonna go to probably the rigger's yard. When it comes time to start this thing up, it's gonna be the Connecticut rep,
Right.
Yep,
factory rep that's gonna do the startup.
yep.
We gotta engage him now. So the next meeting, we gotta have him here
Okay,
on a
I think
Zoom.
it's absolutely essential, John. I
Yeah.
think that's the absolute correct way to do it.
so we'll have to work on getting that to be a thing.
Yep.
Okay,
Good, thank you.
yep. And then if there's anything else in that language that you think needs to be different, just make sure we know so that,
Well, I think after we talk to the action rep, then we can shake down the language. I think we got to know the essence of what we're doing here, because the way this is written, it's not, I don't believe it's written correctly.
No, and in the first off, it should say manufacturer's 5-year warranty on parts. It shouldn't say just 5-year parts.
Right.
That doesn't leave it open.
Right.
It should say factory warranty of 5 years.
Right.
Parts,
On all parts.
on all parts, correct, good point.
okay. And so this is not, again, as I said earlier,
Yeah, it's not,
it's not holding up the manufacturer of the unit, so that's a good thing.
right,
Once they received all the paperwork signed, et cetera, and put it all in, their due date was early October. So we also still have some time as far as getting things together, getting everything to Downs, getting them out to bid, et cetera. But we don't want to wait around too long. We want to get things, continue to move.
absolutely correct.
What's next there, Evan?
So I still had this one being open, which is the 24-hour, be able to run the HVAC system in unoccupied periods of the range. Was that one approved?
I
Or
think we did approve that, and I have to, I'll look at the minutes, actually, the last minutes. You don't have minutes, but you do, yeah. It was a bit, I think it was the one before that, we might have.
Action target to provide the capability to run the HVAC
Yes.
system during the unactive period in
Yes.
the amount of $4,500. Vote all in favor. Motion passed.
Yeah, so I have to get that signed.
13986.
And they did say that you could sign it, they don't have a signature line, you can sign it anywhere.
And scan it and
You can send it back.
then send it back to them, okay, because I can't do that, I'm sorry, after select, so I'll do that, okay.
Then I did run a very rudimentary schedule. Downs will do a more complex one in more detail. It's just a macro that using action targets, delivery date of October 6th. Ran some dates through, and when different milestones should be hit, and you can see there recent drawings to Downs for bidding. I actually had for this Monday because I did it prior to actually not getting into the documents, but there's a lot of fluff in there, and especially in the procurement for material for Downs. I have 16 weeks in there, which is probably our one door. Everything else in there is probably in the 8 to 10 week range.
Right.
So we do have a long period in there, but it really does look like, based on October 6th delivery date, landing date of the MAU, starting construction mobilization after Labor Day would probably make sense.
Yeah, because we don't want to bust a hole in the wall or install stuff with no way of conditioning the air in there if it's still damp. It's good to wait that a little bit longer and have that done when everything's coming here, and there's a way of protecting what's being installed too.
Right.
Yeah. So we still have to approve the Chikunsky-Ums
Yep.
plans, which will be done hopefully at the next meeting when we get everything together from Action Target. Parts warranty still needs to be approved if they get it the way we want it. We still have, now we had a proposal from ESC to do the controls and that whole part, which you maybe haven't seen that.
I have not seen that.
All right, so we'll have to get the other men to get that.
Okay.
Because we had, and then we also are going to need to figure out what we're gonna do for commissioning, because we need to hire a commissioning agent.
Do we need to get 3 proposals for that and
Um,
compare?
So ESC gave us a proposal to
Okay.
do their controls part. And there were some parts of it that we were, we'll have to figure out what it was that we needed to get clarified. Ben, are you on? And can you answer the question about ESC, or should we do that? Still there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so the,
Go ahead, Nancy.
go ahead.
For ESC, we have a proposal from them based on the latest documents that we had from JHA, the most current documents, minus the minor revisions that they did in the action targets AN unit. So their proposal, I believe, is good, and they were the original. They are the control contractor vendor for the police department, and they're the original vendor that installed everything. So I recommend we move forward with them.
Would they,
For commissioning, what's that?
also with ESC, would they need to update their proposal, like, because we added, I mean, it's a little thing, but adding in that keypad entry at the back entry door? I mean, would they need to review it quickly and let us know that everything's still good, or?
No, they wouldn't be involved in that. That would be our security vendor. So they'll be doing just all the different controls for the HVAC in the space.
Got it. And that was something that,
They will have. Go ahead.
yeah, that was sent out a while ago, so everybody had a chance to review it. Do you want to review it first?
So could I say something?
Yes, John.
ESC do multiple disciplines, and security access and badge access is one of them. Bob, do you know if ESC put the badge access system in the PD, original building?
Sorry. No, they are not. It's Signet, I believe.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And we still utilize them whenever, a camera goes out or we need to change something. So we still have, I believe, a contract with them to maintain our system. So I would imagine it'd be easier for them just to come in and put in another app.
Yeah. So
Was that Nutmeg you said?
Signet.
Signet.
SIGNET. I believe they're out of Massachusetts.
Oh, okay. Okay, all right. You were breaking up, so I couldn't hear it. So it's Signet.
Signet, yeah.
Signet,
And then
okay.
I recommend that we get a proposal from CES. They did the original commissioning at the PD for the main building. This is a relatively small project, and they're most familiar with it. Then do you need a contact? Because I could send you a contact.
I've got contacts over at CES. Well, my question regarding CX, which it really be, is do we need to get more than one and competitively price it?
So some of the stuff that we've been doing with this project, because it's an extension of kind of the other one, is we've been trying to use the same vendors so that there's no, starting from scratch, so to speak.
Absolutely.
So I'm gonna have to check on that. We did that, but we had to, go to the Board of Selectmen and ask. It makes sense because anybody else is going to be spending more time looking at the plans, getting up to speed, all that, and that's an additional cost that can be brought in.
So I could get the ball rolling with CES and wait to hear back from you regarding if we need to get more proposals.
And then you might want to familiarize yourself with the ESC proposal before we go ahead and jump into that.
Yep.
We have some time, but we need to find out if they need to update it. So I was just trying to find it so I could put it up there, but I'm not finding it quickly.
And the other thing that we had from last week that was pushed was JHA.
Yep, so Jukunsky Humes invoice. So is there anything else anybody has before we do the invoice on the range? Questions or other things that came up either at the last meeting or the meeting before, because there were a lot of concerns on the plans, that things that needed to get clarified, which I think Jukunsky Humes did in pretty much everything. So if anybody has any other items that they did bring up at the last meeting or the meeting before that they don't feel was answered with the updates to Jukunsky Humes plans, shout out now so we can deal with it.
I just think if we approve this invoice and looks like the balance left after, if we approve this invoice is $10,000.
Yep.
I think this is the last one approved until the project is farther down the road.
I recommend on the invoice that we still hold off because the invoice is basing out at 100% CDs, so that would be stamped and sealed, ready for bid. And we're not there yet.
Well, that's very good.
I mean, I'm sure, I'm positive we're gonna get that, but I'm just saying, and in terms of their contract, 100% drawings will be stamped and sealed and ready for bid.
Right. Yep, good point. And that's kind of partly what we talked about last time too.
Correct.
And the 10,000 gets us through construction administration. All right, so we'll hold off on that. I'm sure they'll be fine with it. When they sent the invoice was when they sent the completed drawings, which we were pretty much good with, but there were some obvious, brought up at the last meeting, clarifications that need to be made. They did those, but we still have to coordinate the action target ones with theirs before we can be finished. Okay, All right, anything else that anybody has? Questions, problems, difficulties? All right, so I have a list of things that we have to deal with. I'll just briefly tell you that I gave an update to the Board of Selectmen at their beginning of April meeting and asked that once we get through the GP room lobby being completed, that we get to move right into the locker rooms. And so we have to look at the financing, et cetera. And we hadn't gotten the plans updated yet, so it's gonna be step number one, and where do those funds come from? They did approve $20,000 back in 2021. So we have that to start with, but we still have we have the architectural plans plus the MEP and the structural plans that need to get updated. So I gotta look into what costs those are gonna be, et cetera. Anything else? Where's John Menti?
Motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn.
All right, now we have to have a second.
I'll
I
second.
second it.
Meet you, John.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Done.
Hey,
Thank you.
Everyone.
Take care,
good
everybody.
night, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks. Night.
See you soon.
Night. Yep. Bye-bye.